Okay, I think we're live. Hey everybody, how are you?
Hi everyone. Thank you for joining us tonight. We have a few things we'd like to share with you about some things we've discovered and found out, and I think it's educational that we'd like to kind of share it.
Yeah, so we're going to talk to you guys about just what's causing your hair loss. Maybe you guys have noticed that you've had some thinning hair. Maybe you've had some, hair loss.
Mm-hmm. Hair loss.
Anybody you know have hair loss?
Yeah, I'm one of those people.
Anyway, it's not just men, it's women too. So, you know what, we discovered some things about hair loss, some things that you can do about it, and we're going to talk to you for just a couple of minutes about it. So, take it away, Dimitri.
Well, there's a few reasons why there's hair loss. First of all, why do we care so much about hair loss? Well, the true definition behind it is it protects and it adorns. So it helps you, it prevents you from getting sunburn. It helps you stay warm in the winter. It's something nature does in general. Self-expression, confidence, and attracts others. So,
is that what you loved, my big 80s permed hair?
I did. As soon as I saw that, I said, she's got to be mine.
Well, that was the Brooklyn in you.
Yeah, so there's all those factors which are reasons why we care about hair loss, and we don't want that to happen.
It does. I think the biggest thing is that it really erodes self-confidence in people, and that is something that really it's kind of in the thing you don't talk about. So there's this we got some statistics because I love science and numbers. So why don't you share those?
All right. Well, it says there's 1 in 4 women who suffer from thinning hair or hair loss. 30% of women under the age of 50, 50% of women over the age of 50.
I still have a few good years.
Yeah. Now, for men, if you're ready for this, guys.
Sorry, you guys are done already.
Here's what happens. As we progressively get older, the percentages of hair loss rise as well. So 20% experience hair loss in their 20s, 30% in their 30s, 40% in their 40s, and 50% in their 50s. So we're going to talk about, a bunch of stuff.
Just for one brief moment, I'm going to give you guys some hair structure and just, kind of a little background so that you understand then when we talk about those causes of hair loss, what's it all mean and why do we care about that? Mm-hmm. So the human head, depending on, I guess, ethnicity and your genetics, you have at your peak somewhere in the 100,000 to 150,000 hair follicles, right? Each follicle that you have can grow a new hair about 20 times in your lifetime. Mm-hmm. Seems pretty nice, right?
Absolutely.
But there's problems. There's things that cause problems. Normal people, you shed about 50 to 100 hairs a day. Whether you know that or not, you're losing those hairs. Some people shed more. We'll get to that. The hair is anchored in your skin, okay? The follicle's anchored in the skin. The reason that's important is because you need a blood supply to bring you minerals and nutrients and all kinds of stuff. And there's where one problem can lie for hair loss. We will get to that. Creating a little suspense. Okay. Dimitri's going to share with you just briefly this hair structure. Okay, so we started with, the visible 100,000 hairs on the head down to, now we're going to the microscopic level.
Well, Denise talked about how the hair grows from the dermis. That's where it anchors. So there are 3 layers. The cuticle is the outermost layer. That's the scale-like protection. It's like there's shingles on the outside of that hair strand. The cortex is where the protein is, and that provides elasticity and melanin. Okay, so when you style, when you use, we'll get into the
right, but
details
damage
later.
You can damage that area.
That's what damages. What gets damaged. The first, and the medulla is just a clear.
Empty space.
Empty space kind
space
of thing.
Holding.
So,
yeah. So your hair doesn't just grow and then fall out. Like, if that were to happen, we would all be bald. We'd have hair growth and then boom, be bald. Then we'd have to start over again, which you recently did. Mm-hmm. But, we have these phases, these 3 phases called anagen, catagen, and telogen. and the anagen is the growth phase. That lasts somewhere from 2 to 6 years. Okay, then you hit this catagen phase, which is just a transition, lasts about 2 weeks. Follicle renews then. Then you hit the telogen, which is lasting up to 4 months. That's the dormant phase where it rests. That means that hair is about to say bye-bye from your head. Okay, and at any one time, you're going to have a hair sitting right here that's in growth phase. This hair is going to be in resting phase. This hair is going to be in the dormant phase or the transition, and that's all over your head, but it has to be in a ratio. So this ratio is really important for, wow, do I have this beautiful thick hair or do I have some thinner hair? So what happens is you should have about 10 to 15% of your hair at any one time in the resting dormant phase, okay? So if you have more than that, something happens to cause you to have more hair in a resting phase, say you get up to 20 to 25%, you're going to have noticeable thinning. Mm-hmm. And then you're going to run into problems, and you're going to be looking in the mirror going, dear God, honey, do you see this spot back here? What's happening? You know, what am I doing here? That's when people start to panic.
This is when I remember you said to me, what's that hair just growing out of the middle of your forehead? And I said, that's where my hairline used to be.
That was a survivor.
That was a survivor.
Trying to hang on.
But that's also why, you know, haircuts every so often, or, you know, every month and a half or so are so important because, you know, hair doesn't grow out evenly all throughout the head, just like Denise just mentioned. So...
Oh, throwing in the stylist angle there.
Oh,
okay, I like it. All right, well, I'm going to throw in a little medical angle here. So let's get into the causes of hair loss. And we are not, by any means, I'm not going to go through the pathophysiology, thank God, because I don't feel like going back to medical school and my notes to look through that. But going to just briefly mention them because they're important things. Number one, you have hereditary and hormonal causes, okay? Male pattern baldness is the number one cause of baldness. Mm-hmm. Sorry, guys, it's tough to beat. But it's not impossible.
The wife is second.
You're so funny. Anyway, so, you know, this male pattern baldness is like a double hit. It's a combination of the, you know, the chromosomes with the genes. So you're predisposed to it, and then you're a guy, doubly screwed. Sorry. Female pattern baldness also, you know, is something that we see. So what happens is that you have, even women have testosterone. Some women have more than others, like the East German Olympic team. But nonetheless.
You may have offended a few people
No,
there.
You know I'm teasing. Just teasing, anyway. Testosterone we all have, and testosterone is actually going to be the death of your hair because in your hair follicle, there is a reaction that converts it to DHT. DHT causes your hair to be weak, it doesn't anchor well, it disrupts the normal growth pattern, and you have more time in resting phase. And you know what happens? You end up with a physically smaller hair follicle. You're going to have weaker and shorter hair, and you're going to see it. You know, that hair easily, you know, whereas, you know, this may, you know, I may be able to run my fingers through it. You run your fingers through somebody with male pattern baldness, and you're going to come out with a whole heap of hair because it doesn't anchor well. So that's some of the main causes right there, okay? After that, you have a whole ton of medical conditions, okay? Starting with thyroid disease, renal or kidney disease. You have autoimmune diseases that can attack the hair follicles. We don't know why this happens. Iron deficiency anemia, polycystic ovarian syndrome, which is another hormonal cause that links back to that excess testosterone being converted and then hits the receptors in the hair follicle, done with your hair. You can have some inflammatory conditions of the scalp, psoriasis. You know, these things can cause scarring and disrupt the collagen network and the vascular supply. Vascular disease. Patients who've had rapid weight loss, big time problems. It's like stress to your body. It just, you know, causes all of a sudden all your hair goes into that resting dormant phase, and you're going to lose a ton of hair in about 3 months after that happens. Vitamin D deficiency, another big one. And there's some environmental causes that are really important.
Yes, the environment does cause a lot of
time
problems
for the glasses
for us,
on.
So, yeah, let me tell you. So, yeah, that's, you know, part of the age and losing hair part. Some other things go as well. But smoking impacts, hair loss through vascular supply, leading to decreased flow of blood
So that's
flow.
what we were talking about in the dermis. I said you need that vascular supply. Smoking damages the small vessels, and then they become, non-functional. You're not getting the nutrients. You're not getting all the blood supply to the follicle that needs that to live, and the follicle dies off. Bad stuff all around.
Absolutely. And then there's excessive heat damage. Ladies, when you're up every morning and you're blow drying your hair and you're using extreme heat and you have your blow dryer set on high or your flat iron set all the way to the highest 450 degrees, we're talking about some serious heat
Smoke
on
in that
hair. So, yeah, there's a lot of smoke coming off that hair. But that's also part
Damages that what we were talking about, the cortex, and damages the elasticity, makes it much more susceptible to breakage.
Also, sometimes what happens is you go a little too far down and you burn your scalp. That causes damage to the scalp. It's happened many times, I'm sure.
Burn people? Is that from your experience?
I've heard stories, but I haven't.
Beauty school.
But that's
for another day.
Styling products. If you don't use the proper styling products, they can coat your hair and they can suffocate your hair.
Some of those bad things, nasties.
Not just your hair, but blockage of the follicle. So they get into your follicle, they clog your follicle, and they don't allow the hair to push back through. It's buildup. So sodium lauryl sulfate in shampoo.
It sounds so sexy when you say it like that. Big words.
There were a few other ones I wanted to throw in there, but she told me, no, you don't need to go and get that,
I don't want you to sound smarter than me.
So, yeah. As well as stress. Stress pushes follicle into the telogen resting phase.
Exactly.
So there's a few resting as we speak.
Then I should have lost all my hair years ago from you. And we talked about poor diet and those the need to have the trace minerals and the nutrients. You've got to have adequate supply to the hair follicle. Otherwise, the hair follicle doesn't get what it needs. You can see that you can have a change in texture of your hair. Hair becomes more brittle. People with anemia, iron deficiency anemia, very bad hair loss. And all of it is just a matter of getting proper nutrition. And then here's my personal favorite is postpartum hair loss. So women are always saying like, oh, my hair is so thick and beautiful in pregnancy and my nails look great. And then, they come to me like sobbing, like I am going to be bald if you don't fix something in my hair. I'm losing it. It's shedding like crazy. What am I going to do? And, the truth of the matter is that during pregnancy, hair stays in that growth phase much longer. So it doesn't go into that resting phase and then shed out. So once that pregnancy is over and all those great hormones that were making you feel like crap, if you were me, or some of those fairy tale women who say, God, pregnancy was great, I loved it. Once all those hormones are gone, they absolutely start shedding hair, and that can continue for a year. And it's significant. It is truly significant when that happens. So, things that can keep it in the anagen of the growth phase longer are something that are really beneficial. Okay. Now, and the last thing that, cause hair loss is medications. Don't ever overlook, medications that you're taking. Now, birth control pills, it's pretty well known that there are some out there that can really lead to some hair loss. So you always want to, review your medication list with, whoever you're talking to about this and say, okay, you know what, here's what's going on. Mm-hmm. And they go, oh, there's one. Not a good one.
There's a few times where, the color didn't quite come out even from root to end, and I was sitting there saying, but my application was right, I did everything correct, I'm wondering what the heck's going on.
Couldn't have been your error.
And I asked my client, I said, are you on any medication, any thyroid medication, heart medication?
That'll do it.
And yes, thyroid medication will do it, heart medication will do it.
So the moral of the story, tell your stylist if you're on something.
It's very important that you do that before they begin. This way they know how to formulate properly and tell you some of the things that you should expect from it.
Can't tell you all our secrets.
Right.
So in the end, you want to know, what can I do? Like you're telling me all these things. God, it sounds horrible, but what can I do about it? Well, there's a lot of things you can do about it. It's good news. Number one, visit your doctor. Rule out any of those causes of hair loss that could be related to medical conditions or your medications. That, I would say, if you're experiencing significant loss, Do that first. Make sure nothing else is wrong. From there, you know, you can make sure you're decreasing any inflammatory conditions of the scalp, like psoriasis, or, you know, something of the, I said I wasn't going to get into anything, and I can't reach back into my memory banks. I'm sorry. Sorry, I was on call, and it's just not flowing. But, you know, those are things that are important.
Again, we spoke before about heat, setting your styling tools on very high. It's not good. Sometimes using a lower heat, going over it a few times, and distributing that heat evenly, going back and forth rather than staying on one spot too long can decrease damage. Chemicals such as color, keratin straighteners, relaxers, the Japanese straighteners, and relaxers, things that change the bond and the structure of your hair, is also very drying, damaging. So, like Denise said earlier, visit your doctor and find out what's going on. Well, also see your stylist, because your stylist will be the first to tell you there's a lot of products out there that are better for your hair. Built-in conditioners, and there's ways to prevent damage while hair is being colored or any chemical treatments are being done. For instance, box color that you guys buy, Walgreens or...
Nobody out there does that.
Be very careful. In fact, on every box, it says for professional use only in very small letters in the back.
Who would use those crappy...
Yeah, well, there's a lot of people out there doing it.
All right, we promised we were going to be short.
You know, so repetitive traction. So what that is very...
So you should stop pulling on my hair.
Tight pulling... You had to go there, didn't you?
I don't know. It's the way you said it, and I was like, boy, you're just setting me up.
Tight ponytails, braids, things of that nature. Our daughters, one's a gymnast, one's a dancer, both wear their hair tight, very, very bad. So no elastic rubber bands. Use something more with a fiber, so it doesn't cause as much breakage, and don't make it too tight. Proper hair care. You need to have the proper shampoos, depending on your hair type and depending on what the problem is and what you want to fix. So some products contain things like sulfates, parabens, silicones, and things of that nature that can clog that follicle and prevent the hair to come back through. So if you're having problems with hair loss, you see a lot of hair falling out, that can be due to some of the clogging. And if you start seeing more and more balding, it's because the hair in a lot of those follicles that are still alive cannot come through because the follicle is clogged. You need some deep cleansers. But you can't use something that's harsh. No harsh shampoos, no harsh conditioners. You need a very gentle and mild type of conditioners. Something that's more naturally based is probably the better way to go. In fact, even color and all kinds of things that are being used in salons today are leaning towards the more natural approach. So massage scalp, massage your scalp as much as you can when you're shampooing. Don't shampoo every day. That really, dries out your hair, and it really takes out the natural oils you need in there for elasticity. So if you over shampoo, you over cleanse, that's not good. Every other day, twice, 3 times a week is
depends on your hair.
It depends. Yeah. If you have oily hair tends to lay on the scalp. When the hair lays on the scalp, it suffocates the pores as well. It suffocates the follicle as well. But that also means that your sebaceous glands are, producing a lot of sebum, a lot of oil. If your ends are dry and brittle, it's going to cause the sebaceous glands to produce more of that oil, which gives you that oily scalp. So depending on what your situation is, that's what you need to see what the proper shampoo is or conditioner.
So the moral of the story is you should probably consult with your stylist
Definitely
to find
consult
out
with your
what
stylist.
You may be buying something from the drugstore, which nobody does that either, but buying something from the drugstore that you're like, oh my God, I love the way it smells. My hair looks so shiny because it's got silicone, and then you're wondering why your hair is falling out. But
keratin-based shampoos. There's a lot of people out there who say, my hair is so damaged, I'm running out to get keratin, something with protein. You know what? A little bit helps. A little bit does help, but it does not fix the problem.
In fact, it can contribute to it over time.
It can contribute to it over time. See, keratin is a protein. Protein is a hard substance. It's what your nails and hair are made of to begin with. When it starts to get overlapped, it will turn brittle and it will break your hair over prolonged
Which is probably
use.
how they stay in business, because they just keep making it. Your hair feels good, but then it keeps breaking, and then you need more. That's awesome.
So you need to be very careful about that.
Yeah.
And it doesn't repair damage, by the way.
Nope.
It fills in the gaps, makes it feel and look healthy, but it doesn't fix anything.
Yeah. So then when you come down to treatments, once you've done this preventative stuff, treatments are, based on your underlying cause. If you've ruled out these, medical conditions, then, and you're good to go, which, pray to God that everybody out there is, then, just what he talked about, you can do these deep cleansers to unclog the pores, kind of regenerate, reinvigorate that follicle, see if it'll start producing for you again. A lot of times those follicles are not dead. They don't die right away. So there is a chance. Okay. And then the other aspect is to hit the target where conversion to DHT is. If you can block that testosterone to DHT at the receptor level, that's a big win, because then your hair is going to not be as short, stubbly, prone to breakage, weak, shriveled up, all that good stuff. So really important. You can do something to improve the anchoring so it's not as weak, just like talking about the DHT. And there's shampoos out there that can do these things. There's medications out there that can do these things. Anything that you can find that will increase your time in that growth phase, other than pregnancy. I don't recommend pregnancy for most women. After you've had your kids, dear God, getting pregnant is not a way to prevent losing hair. But anything that there's shampoos out there, there's medications out there that can do that for you. So, that's what we've got, guys. Hope you got some value in what we said.
If anybody has any questions, whether it be medical for Denise to answer, please message her. Any questions, if you need help on what you think might work for you as far as product knowledge, as far as what, how often you should go to your stylist, what you should be doing, what you should not be doing, please message me as well. I'll be happy to help.
Right. We can make some recommendations. If you guys have something that you love, that's fantastic. If you don't, you want to try something, let us know. We'll make some recommendations. So that's it for tonight, guys. Thanks for joining us, and we will see you soon.
Thank you, everybody.